We fail to see what we can do. We don't understand the plot. The beautiful game. Every week at the top level, we see the FA strictly uphold their standards, both on and off the pitch. Players red-carded, managers fined or banned, and abuse accusations thoroughly investigated in high-profile games. But what happens when a committee member and league secretary of a lower-tier club breaks all the rules? They call it the beautiful game, but behind the scenes, away from the pitch, how beautiful is it really? From early years through to adulthood, whether it be in the field of education, industry, religion or sport, we all know that bullying and verbal abuse is wrong. But to where can anyone affected turn if they find themselves on the receiving end of either online, verbal or indeed any kind of abuse?
Hello, my name's Ian Wright. That's me. My daughter's a goalkeeper and I try to support her as much as possible. And in 2019, Torquay United Women invited me to become a committee member and media officer for the club. Everything went well and what I did was well received.
Well, obviously, at this level, committee members are generally they're unpaid, so it's a voluntary role. It obviously did eat into a lot of your free time, a little expense for some graphics and some personal training for the website.
But after a short time, Club Secretary Janette Farrell started to undermine what I was doing and became abusive in the committee chat room. Because of her personal vendetta, together with the inertia of other committee members, I quickly decided to call it a day.
What was your reaction to being told to piss off? Yeah. Well, at first I was disappointed, and I couldn't really understand why I was being made a victim of abusive comments. I'd only tried to do my best for the club. Basically, Janette Farrell didn't like the way things were going, which actually was in a very positive way, but maybe she seemed to have felt threatened for some reason. So mainly I was disappointed, and when this message was left in the chat room, I thought, well, I'm not going to respond. I won't respond to that. I could have responded like for like, but I thought, oh, well, no, it's her. This is her comment. It's a bad comment. It's unnecessary. It's personal. It is abusive in any sense of that word. And I didn't respond at all for a week or so. And also I thought it would give other committee members a chance to make a comment, respond in some way. Is that okay to make abusive comments to a committee member, a new committee member who spent a lot of time trying to do his job? Is that okay? Well, the term lily-livered springs to mind. There are a few reasons, I think, why nobody chose to react or respond to that. And one of them was that I think they had maybe some private conversations behind the scenes. They didn't want to show how they felt about it. And I think there was a lot of conversation behind the scenes, but no direct response, which would have given me the encouragement to continue as a committee member with the club. But obviously I felt that I didn't have any support, or if there was support, it was unvoiced or kept to themselves. I think there were one or two people that kind of empathised with the position, but they didn't want to put themselves forward to talk about that. I was the new guy in the committee room. I didn't have any close supporters at that time. Janette Farrell has been there for many years, and nobody wants to do that job. I know nobody was interested in doing her job or replacing her or finding a replacement for her. And she had a reputation. Other managers from other clubs have mentioned a few times to me perhaps she doesn't have a lot of social skills in being pleasant to other people. And I think that kind of intimidates other committee members so that they perhaps prefer to keep quiet.
I could never have foreseen how my motivation and enthusiasm would so quickly be dashed. When things went wrong for me, I resigned from Torquay United and turned to the FA for recognition of the abuse I had received. However, instead of finding a willing ear, all I witnessed from both the FA and Devon FA was a closing of ranks, a will to quash my complaint through inertia or misaction, and finally a circumspect denial that anything had taken place which would cause the FA to discipline the individual concerned. So either I was losing my mind, or the FA were casting aside their own rules, philosophy and well-publicised statement of intent to stamp out abuse within football. The laws of football have been pretty well unified around the world by FIFA, and so for on-pitch management there are 17 rules which govern the game. The rule covering foul language during the game would be Rule 12, which allows the referee the option of dealing with dissent and foul language during play. So if we look at this example, one player is given a yellow card for a foul. He then proceeds to argue with the referee about the decision, which is dissent.
Dive, didn't you see? Are you blind? Piss off!
And finally is given a red card for foul language directed to the referee personally. Around the Devon FA ground at Coach Road, Totnes, you can see Devon FA have had erected signs around the pitch, specifically censuring foul language. But what about off-pitch? What powers does the FA have in terms of control of behaviour and language after the final whistle? Well, first of all, there is a pretty precise code of conduct for coaches, team managers and club officials. If we look, it's clear. Participants, which would include a league secretary and club secretary such as Janette Farrell, must show respect to others involved in the game, including officials. A club committee member is clearly an official. And further, never engage in or tolerate offensive, insulting or abusive language. And again, the Respect Code details sanctions which may be applied in the event of a breach, including suspension or being required to leave the club. As well as the Code of Conduct, FA Devon and the FA have their own rules to which their disciplinary members may refer. These rules cover off-the-pitch situations linked to the playing of football in an FA league. FA Rule E31 specifically bans the use of abusive, indecent or insulting words or behaviour. So there is no doubt at all that Devon FA do in fact have both regulations and a range of sanctions available for people using abusive language off the pitch. Bad language by a league secretary is hardly a good advertisement for the game, and bringing the game into disrepute is also a sanctionable offence. But wait, we have a newsflash. Head of Devon FA, Paul Morrison, is about to make a statement, and we are going live now to Devon FA headquarters.
Following careful review of Mr. Wright's complaint, Devon FA have issued the following statement regarding the use of piss off. We find that the phrase piss off is not abusive at all. In our normal conversations, we frequently tell each other to piss off. Indeed, this morning I told another executive to piss off, and he expressed his great pleasure and indeed thanked me for using this phrase. In future, let it be known to all referees, players, coaches and officials that piss off is fine to use in any situation and is definitely not an offence either on or off the pitch. South West Regional Premier League Secretary Janette Farrell has actually written a song about this phrase, and I have a recording here of her singing to us a little earlier today. I am sure everyone will appreciate how innocuous the phrase piss off really is.
piss off, wherever you may be. Piss off, don't try to speak to me. You need to learn to take abuse, that is my legacy. I'm gonna piss off out of here, you're such bad company.
You piss off. Yes, you piss off. Piss off. Piss off.
Yes, there was other abuse actually, and when I raised the question about team selection, how the team was selected, how dare I raise this question? I had a reply from Nikki May, who was the captain at the time. It was always done behind closed doors. I wasn't involved in the process, but I was open to, as a committee member, to ask questions about the process. She wrote to me, "You are very aggressive for no reason. You are very negative and criticise without even realising. You are a vile and aggressive man." And was I aggressive? Well, I never raised my voice once. I was never abusive. I never used bad language. 99% of all our conversations were online. I was never rude to anyone online during the time I was there. So this criticism is quite unfounded, but it is a knee-jerk reaction to someone asking a serious question about how is this team selected. Yes, one of the perks, if you would like to call it a perk, was that you can enter the home ground free of charge, or in fact even the away matches you can enter free of charge, as you are a committee member. You're not a member of the public. But as another example of vindictiveness, on one match about the time that all of this was happening, Janette Farrell shouted across 20 or 30 metres, "Ian, don't forget to pay as you enter the stadium," or something like this. Everybody could hear that she was asking me for money to enter the ground. As soon as I left as a committee member, I left a letter which detailed a few of my individual complaints and criticisms of how the club was run. But that obviously didn't go down very well, and almost immediately on the next home game I received a letter saying that I should leave my camera behind. It was a polite request that I shouldn't film. Some of the players apparently were objecting, although I never had one complaint from any player about filming. This was a machination. It was a contrived objection from people or persons unknown to mess up what I wanted to do, which was basically film my daughter as I originally was doing before I was invited to be a committee member. And in fact, I didn't even enter the stadium at that time because of that request. I thought I'm not even going to go into the stadium where there was some bad feeling and where there may be some confrontation. And from then on, I always watched the game from outside the stadium through the wire fencing. And in fact, one day, Janette Farrell was filming me outside of the stadium. And as I was friendly with some of the other parents, one of the parents told me after the game, I said, "What did she say? Why was she filming me outside the stadium?" She said, "Oh, she was just checking that you weren't filming."
My complaint to Devon FA against Janette Farrell and effectively Torquay United Women was not purely limited to online abuse and vindictive activity. There were details of other incidents of disrespect, such as screaming at players from the touchline during matches. After I left the club, Janette Farrell claimed authorship of match reports I had written for the website. Here's a recording I made when I realised what she had done. August the 17th, 2020, by Janette Farrell. You can see that's my site. This is a live link to my site. I can take this off at any time. This is my article, that's my photo, this is my film, and Janette Farrell is claiming that this is hers.
After threatening legal action, both articles were removed from the Torquay United website without apology or comment. I passed details of her acts of plagiarism to the FA.
Finally, there was a report that whilst acting as COVID officer for the team, Janette Farrell disregarded government guidance by inviting a family member to attend the game. Looking back at the correspondence, I'm often referring to the delaying tactics adopted by Devon FA. Subdue my complaint through inaction, lethargy and non-communication. Some months have passed since lodging this complaint. I originally wrote to Jason Haywood and there was no response. Whoever that appropriate person was, I received no response. And there was no response. And in this letter, I'm aghast at how Devon FA simply forwarded the entire complaint to Torquay United Women to deal with internally. Can you imagine how Janette Farrell, as club secretary, would manage a complaint against herself?
Hello?
Hello,
Is that Janette Farrell?
this is Janet.
I was wondering how that internal FA complaint was coming along.
Yes, this matter will be dealt with internally, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, after that, and what is the main point of this film, is that I made a complaint to the FA. The FA have a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, which also cover committee members. Recently, in recent years, they very strongly advocated no abuse, no foul language on the pitch and off the pitch with anyone who is connected or associated with football, especially the officials, committee members, players. And with that in mind, I made a complaint to the FA, and basically there was great resistance to handling the complaint, looking at the complaint. Initially, they simply passed all of my complaint and information to the club, to Torquay United Women. And of course, Torquay United Women is Janette Farrell. So they passed my complaint in total to Janette Farrell to deal with internally. And but I had no report. There was no follow-up on that. What did they do internally? I wonder. I really wonder. What did they do?
According to Section 9 of the Torquay United Women FC Constitution, the procedure for handling complaints is perfectly clear. All complaints regarding the behaviour of a member should be submitted to the Secretary, i.e. Janette Farrell. The Management Committee will meet to hear complaints within 7 days of a complaint being lodged, and the outcome of the hearing will be notified in writing to the person who lodged the complaint within 7 days of the hearing.
What was the result? And I never had any feedback about that. I was the complainant and I never had any feedback. Now, I think there should be feedback for people who make an official complaint to the FA or FA Devon. And going forward, I still persisted because that wasn't the end. I still wanted the FA to look at it independently and make a report. At the end of it, communication was really bad, long-winded, and the final result was that they said, oh, we failed to see what we can do. Now, Janette Farrell is also the league secretary for Level 5 in the area, and I think there was a big conflict of interests here. As a league secretary, obviously they didn't want any publicity to come back to them. My complaint was against her as a club secretary, but as her wider position included being league secretary, there was a connection with the FA, and I think this was a case of closing ranks and let's not deal with this, let's try and push this away. They even wrote to me and inferred that because a lot of time has passed, maybe it's not relevant to continue this complaint anymore. Looking at the FA rules and looking at their policy against abuse, especially online abuse, which this was, and it's not, is this abuse against a black person? Is this against a child? Is it against a woman? Abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter to whom the abuse is directed. And I'm sure this is not an isolated case. I'm sure all over the country, many committee members of the lower tier clubs have issues between each other, and there needs to be a system to deal with these issues. If somebody messes up and they're unreasonably negative, victimising someone in a club situation, there should be sanctions. Well, there are sanctions in the FA rules, but they're not investigated properly and they're not dealt with equitably. In my situation, at least, I'm arguing from the individual to the general, but I feel in general there is no system in place to deal with these kind of complaints, which really negatively can affect the running of a club. If you are losing people who want to dedicate their time and energy into helping the club, and these people are leaving for ridiculous, silly, mindless reasons like this, where people have their own arrogant, self-serving attitude towards committee members, or simply bad humour, then there needs to be a way to deal with that.
Hello, Janette Farrell.
Hello, I was just wondering about the progress of the FA complaint you received.
I think the committee is meeting now. Yes, I thought we'll...
Okay, thank you. So, if you make a complaint to the FA, is it going to be a downhill ride, or are you going to be treated with an icy reception? There is no doubt that countrywide, the FA has in place a very successful structure for football across all age ranges and abilities, but their handling of complaints at a local level appears to be somewhat less effective. I will give just 2 examples. After some delay identifying someone able to manage my complaint, I was put in touch with Matthew Rushton and sent him the complaint on the 1st of May 2021. I didn't receive any acknowledgement, so sent an email on 9th of May checking that the complaint had been received. On 11th of May, Matthew confirmed, "This matter is in hand." Thus assured, I then waited 2 months until 9th of July before asking again about the progress of the complaint. Matthew replied with the following email. "Hi, Ain," my name spelt wrong. "As it's an internal club complaint, we pass this information on to a member of Torquay who is dealing with it. Kind regards, Matt." So Matthew didn't feel the need to update me on any progress, didn't feel the need to tell me he had forwarded my complaint to the club, and seemed oblivious of the fact that this was a complete breach of confidentiality. As 2 of the perpetrators of the described abuse were Torquay United Women committee members, it seems hardly to be a rational decision to refer my complaint to that same committee, which was, of course, why I sent it direct to Devon FA. I then wrote to Matthew on 24th of July, voicing my concerns. He failed to respond. Indeed, never contacted me again.
Yes, Janette Farrell.
Hello, Janet. It's Paul Morrison, Devon FA.
I'm assuming you're working right now on that referred case that we sent you. Yes, I'm just doing some filing.
The second example shows what happened once I escalated my complaint to Devon FA CEO Paul Morrison. On 28th of August 2021, I contacted him with the details, and on the 2nd of September he wrote saying he would respond later. On 28th of September, not having heard from him, I wrote to his assistant to chase up my query. On 24th of November, he got back stating, "We fail to see how we can uphold and support your complaint." He made no reference to the charges against Janette Farrell, nor comment about the obvious transgression of FA rules and the FA Code of Conduct. On 16th of December, I responded to him asking for clarification of his decision. He failed to respond.
On 26th of January, I sent him a reminder that he'd not answered my previous email asking for clear confirmation of FA Devon's decision, and also raised a further complaint against Janette Farrell that she was now claiming authorship of articles I'd written for the club. He failed to respond.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the bestest ever women's football club secretary in the league? The very bestest one of them all.
I cannot tell you the answer you want.
Oh, why not? Tell me something, please.
The riddle of your initials will no doubt make you gasp. What you are, and always will be, is hidden in the glass.
Oh, it's so smoky I can't see anything. It's a J for Janet and an F for far hell. Oh, piss off.
What happens behind the scenes is really important to the team. These things, the feelings, the side issues, they all filter through into the team and affect the playing on the day. A change of manager is a massive thing, but all the other things are also important. And people who volunteer and are enthusiastic and want to join a club and volunteer their time, they shouldn't be pushed away, dealt with negatively, unless they do something terribly wrong, of course. I feel it should be a much warmer atmosphere, an embracing atmosphere, and that people can dedicate their time effectively so that everyone is going in the same direction. The team, the management, the committee members, everyone is going in the same direction, which is for the betterment of the team and in the wider sphere for the betterment of football as a whole. For me personally, I'd like the FA to look at my complaint again and to deal with it in a reasonable manner, and obviously to let me know the result. Yes, well, I'd really hate for anyone else to have to go through what I've been through. I'm not trying to big it up. It's not a massive thing for me. But when people act in this way, I do believe that they should be held to account. I do believe that they should be identified, named, and that they should accept what they have done, and they should be dealt with if there is a mechanism in place to deal with it. Other people coming into it who may not be as well equipped as I am to defend myself need that support, that wider support, and that has to come from the official body, which is managing football.
Thankfully, the FA in London has a division which deals with safeguarding for vulnerable people or with children. My experience has only been with Devon FA, and personally I'd hope that the other FAs deal with matters a little bit more efficiently and a little bit more honestly than Devon FA have. The FA is in a unique monopoly position, but can county FAs really be entrusted to deal effectively with abuse cases? Can they see the wood from the trees? Well, if my experience is anything to go on, you're either going to get the cold shoulder or, in fact, sweet FA.
We fail to see what we can do. We don't understand the plot. That's why we don't help those abused, and we probably mess up a lot. Just don't mention anything bad that may embarrass us. We'll find a hole to lose your claim, so you don't make a fuss.